In this cutting-edge episode, we'll uncover the secrets to attracting and converting high-quality leads for your B2B tech company, from leveraging the latest digital strategies to understanding the core needs of your clients. We've got it all covered. Hello, I'm Michael Williamson, founder of Tech Growth Insights, where we believe penetrating insights drive growth for technology companies. I've spent over 25 years in senior leadership roles at major tech firms like O2, Vodafone, Staples, Equifax and Symantec, selling over $30 billion in tech products and services globally. Now I share that experience to help companies discover the customer market insights that enable strategic decisions and accelerate their growth. Join me as we explore the latest frameworks and stories about insights tech leaders can leverage to drive growth, build a winning brand and achieve long-term success in today's competitive landscape. Okay, and welcome back. We're talking about attracting leads for your technology business. And before we get going on that, we really need to look at the client journey and then how the client journey actually features in that. So you might remember for some other videos where I talk about the go-to-market launch process that the client journey is based on 5 key things. We've got the market, which are businesses that are unaware of your product, your solution. Then we've got leads who are problem aware. They may or may not be aware of your specific solution. We've got your prospects, your opportunities, who then convert into clients. And then through that client journey, what we're essentially doing is we're raising awareness, we're building interest, we're gearing that towards being educationally based. So it's non-salesy. We're really focusing on educating the client into helping them solve a predefined problem that they may have. And then we're building consideration through building trust and credibility into purchase intent. We're then creating the marketing qualified lead, who then is handed over to the sales team, who's then evaluating the solution or service, and then hopefully we get a purchase. And then with that, we've got the power offer, which is critical in terms of those upstream elements of the client journey, and that will be the most important thing in order to draw people in. That's your value proposition, but done in a differentiated way. And then at the back end, we've got your technical experience of your sales, your technical, your delivery teams, which becomes more and more important as those customers start evaluating your solution, looking at a proof of concept, a pilot, and then essentially making a purchase. And then we've got the different areas, the 3 areas there. We've got owned by marketing, owned by sales, owned by delivery, and then we've got these, what I would call factories, and we need to think about them as factories. They need to be, particularly for a B2B technology business, organised in a scalable way, a systemic way. We're not relying on artisans to essentially drive those processes. Those processes are foundational elements in the business that can be replicated. And essentially what we've said is that from those upstream elements, we tend to find in a lot of B2B companies, they can be quite weak. And that includes attracting leads, that lead factory. And it's really that there's a lack of core marketing capability, which results in the inability to generate and retain the attention of prospects during that key part of the client journey. So the back end of the client journey becomes starved of oxygen, and that's when the sales team start complaining that they haven't got enough leads because we haven't really focused on that front end. So today we're going to be talking about how we attract leads and the importance of doing that in an educational based way. This is something I've referred to before. This is from a colleague of mine, Andrew Lowe. I used to do consulting work for Social Value Portal and essentially help them get from their Series A funding and start scaling up. But Andrew here is the Chief Revenue Officer there, and he's talking about that they've recently announced their Series B, and they've just been inundated, or he's been inundated, him and his colleagues, from essentially outbound blast messages, emails, LinkedIn messages. Obviously, there's some account-based marketing practices that organisations are using because they've got a notification that Social Value Portal have got their Series B funding. So he's just getting plastered. And then essentially this string on LinkedIn just continues with more and more people getting involved, just talking about companies are ruining their credibility and trust by using these outbound mail bots. They're talking about pitch slapping. It's the worst thing about LinkedIn for sure, and there must be another way. And that's why we don't want to go straight to the pitch factory. And what we want to do is, rather than using force in our messaging, we want to use power. And that's one of the key principles of that front end of the client journey. We want to be using power in our messaging, power in our outreach, not force. And the way we do that is we need to really understand the customer. It all comes back to having a really key focus on the customer and the insight of decision makers and operational leads. It's quite straightforward to do that. Just first compile or download a list of your current customers, comb through it, identify the largest deals of the companies that you've sold to and who has gotten the most out of your solution, service or product. Segment these contacts then to decision makers and operational leads, and then interview them. And then just speak to those customers and ask them about their purchase drivers. Why did they decide to purchase a solution? Who was the final decision maker? What were the pain points they were looking to resolve? How has the product helped resolve those pain points? How is the product used throughout the day? What's the most valuable feature or functionality? Why have they continued to use the product? Where did they first learn about the product, and where do they go for information now? And that's going to build up a really key view of customer needs across decision makers, who essentially they're the budget holders which will make the decisions, and then your operational leads, who are your day-to-day contacts there, which are really heavy influencers into decision makers. We want to have that complete view. And then that way we've got the start of a functioning customer data factory. We can start appending more data points to it. We can start building out our overall TAM, our total addressable market. And then what we want to do is to start lining up the methods of attracting those leads. And the way we want to think about this is that we want to send that list of target customers we've got an irresistible offer that they cannot say no to. And this is basically these offers that clearly understands and identifies and agitates some of their current pain points, and then provides them solutions with how to resolve those pain points. So we're basically within that agitating the key things that are really going wrong, those current states, because we've done that insight work, we really understand the customer, and we're basically talking about there is a better way, and then painting that picture of their desired state. And there's basically three key methods. There is a fourth method that I'm going to touch upon, which is fast developing. I'm going to talk about that at the end. So we've got the free report, and I'll give some examples of that. We've got the free training series, and then we've got the free health check. And all of these I would class as easy yes offers, but they have different threshold barriers. And then the threshold barriers are the commitment rate. So if you think about it, downloading, applying and downloading a free report takes a couple of minutes. It's really easy. It's low commitment. The free training series is higher commitment. I can register, I can watch a video, complete the training, but I'm probably donating something from 20 minutes to an hour upwards. And then the highest level of threshold or commitment is the free health check. And those are these online assessments that you get come round. You would have seen them, whereby you receive an email, or you might see something on LinkedIn, you might see an ad, and then you go to an online portal, and then essentially you're putting your an assessment, and then you're working out against a control group, how do you actually fare in your maturity around something. So those are basically the three different types of easy yes offers to start the educational engagement. So I just want to talk about each of these three. So the free report, we would have seen these before. They're the most popular method of essentially tech companies getting prospects who are generally out in the market to put their hand up and say, yes, I've got a problem. I can see how the material that I can get from you can help solve that. So some good examples from AWS, they're talking about machine learning at scale, high performance, low cost machine learning for any use case, democratized, operationalized, responsible, the three keys to successful AI and machine learning outcomes, and then jump starting innovation with machine learning. So these are basically examples of reports, white papers that will be pushed to the market in order to get the market to put their hand up and say, oh, that's interesting, and then do a form fill. And then you've generated a lead from that form fill. And then the key thing, what we're trying to do here is, yes, the report addresses the problem, but if you really look at what we're trying to do here with the report, is we're trying to build in a long form sales letter. And that long form sales letter within these reports basically goes through some case studies, the advantages of AWS or NVIDIA, and then basically sells the person who's reading it on why they have the best answer to address this solution and what they should do next. But if you called it a long form sales letter, nobody would ever download it. But that's essentially what these are, the long form sales letters, which are positioned as reports in order to help the client solve a problem. And millions of these are downloaded every year. They're highly successful, easy to produce, and essentially you can capture details of prospects very easily, and you know that the reason why they're requesting is that they've got a problem that we can help with. The next one is basically a free training series, and you can see here that this can be a landing page and then a number of different videos which essentially help educate that person in the market about a solution to a problem that we've identified in the customer insight work that they are likely to have. And then what we're essentially trying to do here is get the person in the market to actually spend time with us. They can see us on video, they can meet some of the other people, they can see our culture. And then the key here is that we want to get them to spend as much time with us as possible, so we grow our familiarity, our trust, our credibility, and then it's easy to take the next step, which is to actually book a session, a consultation, or a free strategy session in order to look at different ways in terms of how that solution could be applied to the customer specific problem. So these work incredibly well. The key issue with that is that a lot of companies don't want to do these. They don't want to do the videos, and they haven't got the resources internally to do these. But these work phenomenally well. Some of the other methods in terms of these free training series that can be done are on different types of platforms. So either YouTube for video or podcasts, and this trend is growing as the podcast users are going, or podcast listeners are increasing, or essentially email newsletters. And what we're trying to do here with these is to educate the customer. They feel that they've gotten a lot of value about solving a particular problem, and they're spending time with you as a business. They're learning about you, your personality, whether they like you, whether they don't. We're forming some rapport with them, and these are incredibly good methods to do that. There's some stats out there that if somebody spends 7 hours with you, then they're essentially have so much information about you, they're in that ready to buy stage. So if you can get them onto a YouTube watching 7 hours of your content, or on a podcast listening to 7 hours of your content there, or you've got a series of email newsletters and they're reading those over a period of time, you're breaking that 7 hour threshold, whereby after that time they're highly responsive to essentially sales engagements. You'll see them pop up at a video sales call and they're basically ready to buy because they've already made up their mind. They've really they know enough about you as a business. So these work particularly well in terms of both doing that, attracting the leads, but also getting into the nurturing sequence as well. So, and then the last area is, before I get on to this fourth area, which is emerging, is the health check. And the health check is basically an online assessment. Typically, it has a control group to it, so there's some maturity curve. Then you go on to the online assessment, you put in your details, and then you complete it on the basis of how well advanced are you as a company on specific aspects of technology. And then at the end of it, you get a personalised report emailed to you, and then you get the ability to click and have a live one-to-one meeting with somebody who will discuss the report and give you some more recommendations. And of course, that's a nice bridge into the pitch factory, which is obviously the sales area of expertise, to meet the client direct, and then essentially start the evaluation process. So a lot more difficult to get companies to complete these, particularly in technology. I mean, once they work, and they do work, they do bridge that gap between the lead and the sales team exceptionally well. The issue is that particularly in IT, cybersecurity, finance, that those sectors they're very risk averse. They don't like putting in their company details into these kind of systems. They have to sign all kinds of agreements. While they won't, they're the worst ones for interacting with these kind of platforms. If you're sending this out to sales teams or marketing teams, they'll just fill it all in. But if you're reaching out to IT professionals, cybersecurity professionals, finance professionals, they're very, very reticent about completing this. So if you're in a sector and then you're basically selling cybersecurity services to CISOs, this probably wouldn't be a good idea to do. However, in saying that, if you have taken them through the report, and they've maybe downloaded a report, they've maybe been on a training session, and then they've got more trust in you as a business, then even with the likes of the CISOs, as long as it's a very simple assessment, these can still work, but you need to warm up because there's a lot higher commitment. So those are basically the three different areas. But the one that I see emerging, which is this future, I've termed it this future lead factory, are online social communities. And there are a few of these platforms that can be integrated with your core website. So you have a custom domain. You've got Mighty Networks, which is that one bottom left. You've got school.com, and then you've got circle.so. And essentially what they do, they are communities that can be very specialist interests. So you can see this one from School on the bottom right. It talks about data alchemy. So this is basically an organisation that sits behind this who wants to build a community of data scientists. And what these platforms allow a brand to do is to connect different types of people together where they can share lots of experiences and they can be basically forming a club. A lot of this used to be done on LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, but now a lot of this is now migrating to private platforms as brands have found those platforms difficult with those different rules and regulations that Facebook or LinkedIn might want to change, and then you have to change your whole program because of it. The benefit of these platforms is that you're in control. You own all the data. You can control the configuration of this, and then you're the moderator. You can approve people, disapprove people, and a lot of these have got built-in incentives for people to participate. And then the benefit of this is that you're basically bringing together essentially a club of buyers. And this club of buyers, not only are you facilitating your relationship with them, you're also adding the benefit of facilitating relationships across their peer groups. And then you're learning more and more about the customer, what their problems are, what their insights are, and then you can use that to tailor your messaging, tailor new products, services, and then to also help the sales team facilitate some of those conversations in the pitch factory. And the best way of doing this is that within these communities, you've got some moderators, and your moderators are looking at all the different streams, all the different conversations, who's got what kind of problem. And then once these conversations are activated, the moderators are going in and then, that company's got this problem. And then they're essentially, we've got a solution for that. Would you like to talk to us separately about how we can help you solve that? So once you've got this grown, it really becomes an asset, and I'm certainly seeing more and more and more of this, and I think this is going to be a long-term trend in terms of the next era of developing leads and nurturing to make sales ready leads. So that's it. That's the video for today. There's some links in the description of these different platforms if you're interested in checking them out. And then if you haven't watched my other video on the whole go-to-market plan, you'll see a link in the description too. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.